Hello, children. Welcome to another video of mine. I'm sure all of you are busy preparing for a coming board exam. Well, children, it's often found that you people lose the marks while answering the questions related to assertion and reason. So I decided why not make a video to help you out so that you can score more marks in the coming exam, and also you will be able to answer the questions related to assertion and reasoning correctly. So shall we begin? First of all, what is assertion? Assertion means a statement which can be neither true or false. What is reason? Reason is an explanation for the assertion given, or sometimes the reason will not be the correct explanation for the assertion. So before you start answering these types of questions, you should know the concepts of all the chapters very clearly. Then only you will be able to answer this properly. Number two, while answering assertion and reasoning, you should keep in mind there are two steps. Now let's see what are those two steps and when you apply these two steps. So let's look into this example. In this example number 1, assertion says liberals are not Democrats. The reason, they wanted to establish institutional of state, society like monarchy, church, etc. So, what should you do when you get such a question? Don't get tensed. Read a question. Relax yourself. Read a question. First, take assertion. Liberals are not Democrats. We have learned in French Revolution, Russian Revolution, Europe that liberals are not Democrats. So that statement is true. So at the end of the statement, take your pencil and put true. Next one, go to the reason. They wanted to establish traditional institution of state and society, such as monarchy. So when the teachers taught you what are liberals, what are their viewpoints, they clearly said the liberals were against monarchy. So this reason is totally wrong. So take your pencil again and write at the end false. That is over. Now take the options. Let's look into the first option A. If assertion and reasoning are true, my God, that is not at all possible. Here, one is true and other is false. So just discard A. Go to option number B. Again, assertion and reasoning are true. No, not at all. Discard that. Go to option number 3. Assertion is true and reasoning is false. Yes, that is the one I want because I have written on the top assertion is true and reasoning is false. So there is your answer, children. Assertion is true, reasoning is false. Take your pen, put a tick against that. You have got the right answer. Let's go to another example now. Here it says, the assertion says, India is not a secular state. Reason, citizens of a secular country has the freedom to follow and practice any religion of their choice. Step 1. Now what should you do? Take the assertion, read it properly. Ask the question, is India not a secular country? Yes, India is a secular country. So this is a wrong statement. Put it right, false. Now, what is meant by secularism? Where the people have the right to follow the religion of their choice. So the reason is true. So you got you got a sentence which is false and you got a sentence which is true. Now let's take option. Same step, follow the same thing. Check. Here in option A, assertion and reasons are true. Absolutely not. Throw it off. Step option B, again assertion and reasoning are true. Throw it off. Assertion C. Option C. Assertion is true, reasoning is false. Go back to your question. What have you written there? Assertion is false. Reasoning is true. This is not the one I want. Go to option number 4. Assertion is false. Reasoning is true. Yes, that is what I want. Assertion is false and reasoning is true. That is the answer I'm looking for. Take your pen, put a tick. There goes your right answer. And that's your right answer. Go to the next question. Now let's look at the third example. Here, assertion says Mahatma Gandhi was the chairman and was responsible for framing the Constitution of India. Reason, he was the first Prime Minister of Free India. Now let's examine it one by one. First sentence, Mahatma Gandhi was the chairman and responsible for framing the Constitution of India. Is that statement right, children? Who was responsible for framing the Constitution of India? It was Dr. Ambedkar, not Mahatma Gandhi. So obviously, you will put false at the end of the statement. Next one, the reason given. He was the first Prime Minister of Free India. Is that statement true? Who was the first Prime Minister? Jawaharlal Nehru. So this is also wrong. So here you find both are false. The assertion is false and the reason is false. Now let's go to the options. A. Both assertion and reason are true. Not at all correct. Let's go to the next one. Assertion and reason are true again. No, not at all correct. Let's take option number 3. Assertion is true, reason is false. But here, both are false. So that is also not applicable. Go to option number D. Assertion is false, reason is true. Again, one is true, one is false. That is not applicable. Now let's take the last option. Both assertion and reason are wrong or false. Well, children, that is the answer we were looking out for. So take your pen and put a tick against option number E, and there goes your right answer. Now let's move on to the example number 5. Oh, sorry, 4. Now I said in the beginning, assertion and reason has got 2 steps. So example 1, 2, and 3, we followed only one step. But the next 2 examples, that's example 4 and 5, we are going to take the step number 2. Now, what is that step number 2 in assertion and reason? So let's start. Here, assertion says the people of France hated King Louis XVI. Reason, he was an autocratic ruler. Now let's analyze it once again. The people of France hated King Louis XVI. Yes, we all learned that in French Revolution, that people hated King Louis, so that is true. Reason, he was an autocratic ruler, that is also true. So here, both are true. So in such a situation, when the assertion and reasoning are true, we take the step number 2. What is that step number 2? Step number 2 means we have to see whether the explanation given in the reason is actually the correct explanation for the assertion. Or let's say, read the explanation of the reason is exactly related to the assertion. Now let's come back to this. Here, the people of France hated King Louis. The reason they gave is because he was an autocratic ruler. So the reason is the correct explanation for the assertion. So in such a situation, we will say step 2 shows that reason is the correct explanation of the assertion. So now let's look into the option. Step number 1, option 1. Assertion and reason are true. Yes, both are true. We have written it. And the reason is the correct explanation of the assertion. Children, if you analyze option A and option B, there is two part in a sentence. The first one, both are correct. And option A says reason is the correct explanation of assertion. Option B, the first part says both are correct. And the second part says reason is not the correct explanation of the assertion. So, children, when you get a question where assertion and reason are both true, you should only look into option 1, option A and option B, where there is two parts of a sentence. So in this example, both assertion and reason are true, and we also realize that the explanation, the reason given is the correct explanation of the assertion. So which is the correct option here? Option A. So let's take a pen and put a tick against option A, and that's your right answer. Now let's go to the last example which I have for you. Here, assertion. King Louis XVI wanted to increase the tax. Reason: subsistence crisis took place during his rule. Now, let's look at it one by one. It is true, we all know in French Revolution, the King Louis wanted to increase the tax. That is why he held a meeting where the third estate people walked out, and that is called a tennis court incident. So, that statement is true. Subsistence crisis took place during his rule. That is also true. But, so both are true. So here we have to take two steps. First step, this both are true. So assertion and reasoning are true. Step 2, is the reason the correct explanation of the assertion? Here, the reason given is subsistence crisis took place. Is that the reason for King Louis to increase his tax? Not at all. The correct reason for King Louis to increase his tax was the treasury was empty. And what was the reason for empty treasury? Long years of war, trying to free his best friend Americans from the British rule, then maintenance of Palace of Versailles, etc. So subsistence crisis was not the reason for King Louis to increase his tax. It was to refill his treasury, which was empty. So here, both are true. Both are the incidents that took place in French Revolution. Both are true. But the reason is not the correct explanation for the assertion. So let's take option 1. Assertion and reason are true. Fine. The reason is a correct explanation of the assertion? Not at all. So that is not our option. Let's go to option B. Assertion and reason are true. Yes, we know that. But the reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. Well, children, that is the correct one. So take your pen and put a tick against option B. And that is your right answer. Well, children, I hope you have understood how to do the exercises or questions related to assertion and reason. Children, assertion and reasoning is very simple. You just have to play around. First, you have to find out whether it's true or false, write it against them, and then, if both are true, then you have to take step number 2 to find whether the reason is the correct explanation of the assertion. But if you get one true and one false, you will not take step number 2. You will directly find out the option which is related to the question asked. So children, I hope you enjoyed this video of mine. I will be back again with another beautiful video. Till then, be safe, take care of yourself, and also all the best for your coming board examination.